Hi. Okay, so here I am with Frank Jude Boccio. Did I get your name right?
Pretty good.
Okay.
I had, well, because I had to go to Italy to learn how to say my own name. Growing up in Queens, New York, it was like Bosio, and there's no A, there's no S's. So the first time, I guess I was 24 years old, I was in Italy, and I had to get a trunk line at one of those telegraph telephone places, and guys yelling out, Boccio, Boccio, like over and over again. Finally, it dawned on me he was calling me, and so I had to ask him to like say it slowly so I can hear it. So it's Boccio, but you
Boccio.
were really close. Yeah.
Boccio. I did a little bit of research. I found a couple. Anyway, so here I am with Frank Jude, awesome yoga teacher and dharma teacher and author and teacher of yoga teachers. Who's based in Tucson, Arizona. So we're here doing a little video interview on this summer day. It's like a summer afternoon in July. So I'm just going to jump right in, Frank, with my first question, just straight ahead. What have you been up to lately, and what kind of projects have you been working on, and what's exciting you right now?
Well, quite frankly, probably the biggest, most exciting thing is that in the space of 9 months, I'm a new dad. My daughter is 9.5 months old, and now I'm a grandfather. And my older daughter had a baby on June 1st.
Those are really good
So
projects.
they're really good projects. It's like, they're lifelong projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking to my wife today, I was like, can you believe she's going to be like a year in just 2.5 months, and then there's like, 17 years until she's legal, and it's like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's that, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that has really taken a lot of my energy and interest is Sangha building, actually. I started a Sangha here in Tucson about 2 years ago, but only in the last several months. Some of you may know that we had a shooting here in Tucson in February and February,
That was a
and
congresswoman.
with Gabrielle Giffords
Yeah.
and all those, yeah, and it's interesting. It was almost a kind of mini version of history repeating because I had a Sangha in Brooklyn that was doing well, but then 9/11 happened and people just got committed.
Hmm.
And the same thing happened here after the shooting. There's just this deepening of commitment amongst the students. So, so actually, I've got about 23 people up from the Sangha who are now in a year-long process of studying the precepts in order to take refuge.
Hmm.
So, really excited about that,
Amazing.
actually.
Wow.
And I've cut back a lot on my traveling, but I still go to places and travel where I really feel my work can maybe reach more people or go deeper.
Hmm.
So I've been to Victoria, BC recently for the first time, and it was beautiful over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to
Uh,
university there.
you did?
Yeah, and I have family there. I go to Victoria once a year. I'm going to retire in Victoria when I turn 40. It's my plan. I understand that you are involved in something called Change Your Mind Tucson. So just what exactly is that, and what does
Well,
that title mean?
yeah, back in the 90s, Tricycle, which is a Buddhist journal, it comes out quarterly, for I don't know how many years in a row, but they would have this thing called Change Your Mind Day.
Hmm.
And it was really wonderful because it would be, I think it was always like the first Saturday in June or something like that. And it was in Central Park. And teachers from the various Buddhist traditions were invited. So, and it was outdoors and free, just like the original, Sangha. I mean, the Buddha taught in the woods, in the parks,
Hmm.
um, and so it was a kind of celebration of the Dharma, and there would be half-hour slots for different teachers. So there might be like a Theravadan monk giving a Dharma talk or leading a Vipassana meditation, followed by a Zen master and his students demonstrating koan battle, and
Hmm.
then the Tibetans doing the debates, and then but it was also intercut with segments where there might be some Tai Chi or gentle yoga and even music. So one year I remember Philip Glass performed. Another year, Allen Ginsberg was with his harmonium and all that, um, and so I moved to Tucson 4 years ago, and was on one level really happy to see there's actually quite a lot of dharma here, but also dismayed because there's a lot of there wasn't a lot of sangha gatherings. Everybody seemed very isolated. So so I thought I would like to do a Change Your Mind Day here, and so I've already spoken to teaches in a couple of the different sanghas here, and they're really excited about it. So obviously June is way too hot to do anything outdoors here in Tucson, so we're probably going to be doing it in April.
Okay.
And so next April we'll be doing this Change Your Mind Day, and we'll have local musicians and see if it's something that takes root. It could become an annual thing, but
so this is something you're planning for next spring.
Yeah.
And sort of building up towards. So, yeah, I find that really interesting because I'm involved in a similar project here in Montreal, but based more around the yoga community. So we're calling it Yoga Community Montreal, with the same kind of vision of like maybe inter-traditions, so like kind of unifying, because I think there's pockets of community and that are based around studios and teachers and styles and stuff, but there are in this city there's not really like an overarching project that kind of brings everybody together and mixes everybody together. So in your efforts to organize Change Your Mind Day Tucson, what does it take to build Sangha, and what are some of the challenges that one might encounter when trying to bring together community?
Well, the Sangha that I began, actually, some students, I did a mindfulness meditation course at one of the studios here at Tucson Yoga, and I was actually kind of surprised. The first time I did it was in August, and I was born and raised in New York and began my teaching career in New York, and you'd never schedule any kind of courses or workshops in August. I mean, New Yorkers, that's when if they can afford it, they're gone. And so when I was asked to do it, I was like, and here's Tucson, it's like 108 degrees Fahrenheit, it's like, you really want me to do a meditation course? But we ended up having something like 48 people sign up. And then I offered it in February, and we had 48 people sign up again. And so after going through 3 rounds of it, people were asking, like, all right, how do we have some kind of continuity? And so I originally opened my house, and, you can have 140 people who say they're interested, but sometimes what will happen is, like, you're lucky if 6 or even 10% will come.
Yeah.
And that's how it started out, but it really started to grow. And so we've been meeting at Tucson Yoga now for just over 2 years. And like I said, with the shooting, it really took it to another level. And so the main obstacle or challenge in building a Sangha is just finding that seed. You only need 2 people for a Sangha. And if you commit and honor that commitment, no matter what, like if you say you're going to be meeting once a month even, then you're there whether anyone shows up or not, and you sit and you do your practice.
I know that you have a very eclectic background, so including a training in a variety of Hatha yoga traditions and Dharma practice, and you're also an ordained Zen Buddhist teacher and an interfaith minister. So I'm wondering how you unify all these teachings and practices in your own teaching and your own practice.
Definitely Buddha Dharma, with the emphasis perhaps on mindfulness, is probably the thread. It's practicing asana as a real mindfulness practice, as opposed to preparation for it. It's like the example I use is when you go on a vipassana or a mindfulness retreat, you do alternating sessions of sitting meditation and walking meditation. And the walking isn't to prepare for sitting. It's not merely a break. It's a full practice. And in the basic sutra where the Buddha gives the instructions on mindfulness, the first foundation is the body, and he says, it's the breath, it's the parts of the body, the postures of the body. And then he continues and he says, the yogi is mindful while reaching up, while bending over, while turning to the side. And the first time I ever heard that teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh, I was like, well, this can be applied obviously to any Hatha yoga. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what I do. I teach Hatha yoga as a mindfulness practice. And one of the things I do with my eclectic background is to break down any preconception that mindfulness needs to be really slow. In the course of a week retreat at Kripalu, we'll do slow body movement, we'll do vinyasa, we'll do yin, restorative, So people really understand that. I've had teachers take my programs and my mindfulness yoga teacher training, for instance, even from every tradition you could imagine, from Svarupa to Anusara, Iyengar, Kripalu, and I'm not out to try and say, change their style. I mean, whatever approach they take, but they can bring in the mindfulness and really make it a meditative practice. Hmm. So that's the unifying thread in everything I do.
You've also mentioned this a form that you're developing, Zen naturalism.
Zen naturalism is a form of Zen practice that takes the Zen thrust, which has always been much more this worldly anyway, right, but really goes full out. So one of the things that I have no interest in, I mean, my students can believe in it if they want, but I do not teach literal rebirth, for instance. Okay. And I don't feel the need to have to posit it in order to live and practice the Zen Dharma. So that's what Zen naturalism is about. It kind of reframes the Four Noble Truths from the traditional model, which would be like there's dukkha, and the second noble truth is the cause of dukkha is craving. The third noble truth is you can end it, and the word is nirodha, that they translate as cessation. And then the fourth is marga, and it's often said that that's the prescription. You do that, then you can end it. The problem being is when we look at what the Buddha describes as dukkha, he does mention pain. Sometimes people make a difference between pain and suffering, and there is, but when the Buddha describes dukkha, he says pain. He says being separated from what you love is dukkha. So the question is, how does my craving lead me to be separated from what I love? How does my craving lead me to go outside and find that I got a flat tire? I mean, that's dukkha. Right. And the traditional response has been, well, in a previous life, you craved existence, and that's why you're here to have to deal with that. And so the reframing is now there's, shit happens, right?
Is that the essence of Zen naturalism?
Right. You find you've got a flat tire or a parking ticket, that's life presents things like that.
Right. So deal with it.
Right. The second noble truth then, craving, is the reactivity, right? When I go outside and I see that I've got a flat tire, my natural reactivity is to have resistance to it, aversion, right, and to be upset. And I don't think there's anything ignoble about that, our reactivity. What becomes ignoble is what we do with it. Right? If we react, and I've known people who have kicked their car and then broken their toes because of the frustration. So the third noble truth, nirodha, rather than think of it as cessation, I think of it as containment. Mm. And the root for nirodha, rod, actually would refer to a ring of stones that you put around a fire, like when you make a campfire. Right. So we're not wanting to put the fire out, but you contain it. Mm. And then once you contain it, the path becomes a description of how you relate to life. So like if someone says something and I get irritated or frustrated, instead of just venting, I contain it. I allow myself to feel that irritation, and then my response is right speech. Hmm. So it's instead of seeing it like the second noble truth is the cause of the first, and the fourth is the cause of the third. Now it's first leads to second, leads to third, leads to fourth. It's a process-oriented approach.